Oh my goodness. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Ohana Tribe's continuing education for this week. Our topic tonight is health and hormones. I always like to let people know and remind people that I have children in my home that are noisy. They're doing baths right now. It's on the other side of this wall. So if you hear banging or screaming, know that my husband's with them. They're not unattended. They're cared for. The door is locked, so it should keep them out. As we're going through stuff, feel free to take screenshots of information as we're going through. If you have any questions or if you're watching the recording and there's like a link that I mentioned, because in the chat, I'm going to put a lot of different links and recipes for you tonight. But if you're watching the recording, just come back, like reach out and be like, Jessie, what was that one recipe you shared for, I don't know, hormone balancing or whatever it is? And then I can just message you back. Okay. So as we're going through stuff tonight, though, just as a reminder to cover my rear end, I don't claim to be a doctor. I've learned a lot. And this is where I've learned so much. I know there is so much yet to learn, but I'm excited to share with you some of the stuff that I've learned on the topic of health and hormones. And I really believe there's a ton of power in testimonies. And so I have a lot of testimonies I'm going to share. I know some of you that are on live have testimonies. I've actually included one of your testimonies, but it's just, I love testimonies. And as we look at this topic, we're skimming the surface. It's deeper than, an intro to oils class, but there's still just so much we can talk about with hormones. But on our journey to health, we're going to look at the doTERRA products that can support us in this journey and just remind ourselves that when we feel a little better, we can do a little better. So something like when I put on Magnolia or spearmint or, what gardenia is one that I've been loving, I'm going to feel better so I can do better. So just use your oils, people. Okay. Okay. So for my, did you know this week, I've shared this one before, but it's like hormone related. So I was like, we need to share it again because maybe you haven't heard this tip because I've been using oils for 9 some years and I just learned this in the last 2 months. But clary sage, I've known it's a hormone oil and yes, I've known that. But I was on a call in August with Stephanie Fritz, who wrote one of the books we're going to talk about, but she's a midwife. She wrote this awesome book on pregnancy, birth, and babies. But she said, if you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, like in that 3 o'clock hour and just sort of struggling to go back to sleep and it's just weird, it very well could be hormone related. And I was like, what? Because I had been waking up recently in the middle of the night. And I'm someone that usually, unless a kid wakes me up, I'm, a pretty good sleeper. So she said to take a drop of clary sage. If you can handle it, just put the drop in your mouth. If you put it under your tongue, that's like even the ideal spot, I think, like getting into your bloodstream really fast. Plus it helps mask the taste. Like if you put it on your tongue, you're really going to taste it. If you put it under your tongue, you won't taste it as much. You could also put it a couple of drops in a veggie cap, but it will help with your sleep. And it's been such a fun hack to know. So there's a fun trick for you. Then I have to say something about MetaPower, and I can't remember, you guys, I updated some of the slides tonight. I can't remember if I put this one at the end too. So we're just going to talk about it right now, and maybe it'll pop up at the end as well, because this is the month that MetaPower is launched for everyone to purchase, along with the other new products that came out. So the way that this month you can get your hands on MetaPower is either through the MetaPower kit or through the post-convention kit. Either's a great option. If you can swing the post-convention kit, it's an even better deal because it's just, the bigger the kit, the deeper the discount from doTERRA. But if you price it out, it's like under $7 for all of each individual item that you add on. Because you have the shampoo and conditioner bars and the Supermint line and guaca wood and Spanish sage and the on guard gel and the new eucalyptus, and I feel like there's another one. Plus you would get the adaptive capsules because this month you get, with 180 PV orders, you get a free bottle of adaptive capsules. So it's great, but ultimately you need MetaPower. Okay. And so it's just, oh my goodness. And then next month, when you get your LLV, you could add on Advantage, you could add on Assist and the beadlets for a deeper discount, which is a really fun option. This month, if you buy the MetaPower kit, you could add on like Terrazyme and PB and stuff like that, which I think is just a really fun option. Okay, so there's the fun thing that's coming with more this is an example of my daily schedule with MetaPower. And really and truly, I think sometimes I've heard from people, like they just might get a little overwhelmed about when to take what. And this is where I don't want you to stress about it. Maybe print a chart off like this or something, but just the advantage, the packet, take it with water. I want you to play around with the time of day you take it. I've been the past couple mornings doing it like first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And it's been really cool. Like it just, my energy levels are great throughout the day. So that's when we've been playing around with it, but it's like mid-morning, mid-afternoon. Some people, and I can't remember if the age that they said, people over 50, people over 60, I don't like taking it later in the evening has actually helped with sleep. Sometimes people, they take it later in the evening and it wakes them up. So you got to see what works best with your body. But the advantage, take it once a day with water. I like adding a couple drops of the MetaPower oil and do it on an empty stomach. Okay. And then the MetaPower, and then take your, keep taking your LLV and stuff too. But then the MetaPower soft gels, try and take one after every meal. You could take up to like 5 throughout the day. So there's that one. And the MetaPower Assist, you take before your largest carb heavy meal of the day. So depending on, I've been trying to be a super user. So I've been trying to take before lunch, before dinner, when I remember, but for sure, at least once a day. And then the oil gum and beadlets when cravings hit. There you go. It's super easy. And it's one of those things like, you know, I know there's some beauty in the fact that I work from home, so I'm here, so I can just run out and grab it. But if you work outside the home, just throw it in your purse. And then as down the road, as you replenish your stock, just hang on to one of those bottles. So you have a bottle of Assist in your purse and you have a bottle of Assist at home, so just do it. You're going to like be so happy. We have right now a MetaPower challenge going on Facebook. We have a special group there. If you want to join that group, let me know if you haven't already. And then I also, through my phone number, my business number, if you text the word MetaPower to my business number, then I have the 30-day challenge connected there. So that way it's like whenever you start, you'll like the timing will be right. So those are some options. Reach out if you want to do that. Okay. And MetaPower ties into hormones. So just so you know, like it ties into a lot of things, but it does with hormones for sure. So some of my favorite resources to recommend to people on the topic of hormones, when we're looking at pregnancy, birth, and babies, that Stephanie Fritz book that I mentioned, I love it. You can buy it on Amazon. Also, you can go to her website and she has a digital version that's actually updated. Like the newest edition, it's digital. And then there's this book, The Essential Oils Hormone Solution, by Dr. Marisa Snyder. And then she came out with the Menopause Solution book, which I don't have that one yet. But she's a gal, she's a doctor. She, teaches all the things, hormones and oils and stuff. And so I have a couple of her recipes I'm going to share as we go through. And then this book, So Female, is written by my friend Sam, who also is a doTERRA wellness advocate, and she's a doula, and she's a great resource as well. And it's a lot of pregnancy, birth, and babies, but there's other stuff in here too, like all the things about being a woman, being female. So those are some great resources if you're looking for some. So now, question on a scale of 1 to 10. First question, how's your monthly cycle? And then if you're peri or post-menopause, how are your symptoms doing? And if you want to like write in the chat, you're welcome to write in the chat. So like 1 would be no symptoms, 10 being like out of control symptoms. Okay. I'm taking a drink of my water in case anyone wants to put in their comments there. Oh, stop it, Cindy Lou. You are still a human. You're a woman. She had a hysterectomy. You are still a woman, silly Billy. Perimenopause this is stuff that I didn't know like until started teaching hormones class. Perimenopause is that period of a woman's life shortly before the occurrence of menopause. And then postmenopause is that time after menopause, once a woman hasn't bled in 12 or more months. Okay, awesome. Tammy says postmenopause, no symptoms, so a 1. That's awesome and wonderful. Okay, there's different areas of hormone balance that, like our hormones affect all of us differently and can look a lot of different ways. So for some people, it affects their thyroid, some people adrenal fatigue, other people, it might be difficulty losing weight, mood swings, trouble sleeping, infertility, poor memory, diabetes, and other things. And so this is where I think there's, again, I don't know, I've already said it a bunch tonight, but there's so many things I've learned along this journey. Like I didn't realize that memory could be connected to hormones. I didn't realize that, sleeping could be connected to hormones. Like all these things, like, whoa, hormones are like really important. We gotta address those. So I have a blend I will put in the chat. It's a hormone balancing blend. If you enjoy making roller balls and stuff, it's sort of long, but it's a good one for people that are trying to conceive. If someone has irregular cycles, if someone just had a baby and they need help balancing hormones, or just in general to balance hormones, like it's gonna help. Okay, so it's just you could also just use like something like Clary Calm, and it's gonna be a great one. But this is a fun blend that you could make up, and then you apply it on the inside of your arms where the skin is thin, like right in here. And then you put behind your ears and on your neck, your lower abdomen to help with your cycles, your lower back to help with adrenals. And Stephanie said to trust your intuition, but at least do it twice a day is what she recommends. Okay. So the female reproductive system. Okay. So it includes our ovaries, our fallopian tubes, our uterus, our cervix, our external genitalia, our breasts, and it works closely with other systems in our body, especially the endocrine system. Okay. So our ovaries secrete estrogen and progesterone, which are crucial for fertility, but also they play a key role in our emotional and physical health. Our hydration and nutrition are they impact the production of our hormones. So our estrogen is a hormone that helps women's growth and development. It's a regulator in our body. Progesterone is really important for fertility. But in non-childbearing years, it's an anti-inflammatory. It helps regulate our moods. It helps with anxiety, and it helps you have a viable pregnancy. So our bodies cycle, right? And so like when our estrogen is high, our progesterone is usually low. And so then as the cycle continues, our estrogen goes low, goes low, and then our progesterone goes high. You know what I mean? They're opposites. But nutrition and hydration, they are so important on the production of our hormones. Think of it, it's what feeds our organs. If we're dehydrated, stuff is just not going to flow really well in our body. So we want to be really well hydrated. Okay, so this is a topic that I feel like a loaded topic, birth control, and then like tampons, pads, what are you going to do? And I just am going to share a few thoughts as we go through this stuff. But I haven't talked about this on the class before. I'm like, oh, this is important to talk about because it's one of those things I didn't know, and I've been like, so 10 years ago, just like go back with me. 10 years ago, I was at my friend's house for dinner, and that was a pivotal point. Like I hadn't started using oils yet. It was my friend that I like dearly trusted, and she started sharing with me about the dangers of birth control. And I had no clue that it was something dangerous. I was like, I wanted to clear up my acne, and I'd done different things. I'd been on birth control for several years. My doctor was letting me skip my periods. She's like, you don't want to get pregnant and stuff. So just keep, you don't want to, like, how convenient, you won't have a period. And I didn't know this. And I had opted to do something called Accutane to help try and clear up my skin. Those are things I wouldn't do again if I did it over. Because there's a lot of dangers with both of them, side effects and stuff. And this is where it's crazy, because birth control is shockingly used for so many reasons besides birth control. Again, it's a can of worms if you start digging deep. I have a few links I'm going to put in the chat for you, but I just want to put the bug in your ear. If someone that you love is using birth control, just encourage them or encourage yourself to do some research and prayer and consider stopping using birth control. And like after that meal with my friend, I stopped birth control and I haven't been on it since. And I'm super thankful that she felt comfortable sharing that with me, because I know it's a touchy subject, but she had built that trust with me already to where like she had earned that right for me to listen to her. Does that make sense? And the fun fact, that friend is the same friend that introduced me to doTERRA. And I'm so thankful that she introduced me to doTERRA, several months later down the road. And so maybe my job tonight is to be that friend for you, or maybe you need to be that friend to someone else to open their eyes and their ears to another option, besides an IUD or besides like oral birth control. Because and this is where it's like, even as I was researching for the class tonight, and it was just like, oh, I had to maybe that's why I've had a funny feeling in my stomach since this afternoon when I was working on updating the slides. But it's just like, studies of like women that have been on birth control for X number of years, their chances of cervical cancer are higher, or the chances of stroke, or the chances of heart attack, or all these things. I'm like, just breathe, Jesse, just breathe, and it's one of those things where when we know better, we can do better. And so I want that to be the encouraging word out there, but then it's just like, take some time to do a little research. And I'd say, like, for the last 9 or so years, I've been trying to live as natural of a life as I can. But I honestly did not connect the dots when it came to using a pad or a tampon until this last pregnancy, when I was talking with my doctor and I had a little bit of irritation in my lady parts. So remember, like, when you're pregnant, sometimes you like bleed a little, so you wear pads or whatever. And she's like, well, it could be the brand of pad you're wearing. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm still using the same, maybe TMI, but I'm not a big fan of tampons. I never was, so I use pads. But she's like, it could be the brand. And I've been like, it's the same brand pretty much I've been using since I first had my period when I was a freshman in high school. And I was like, oh, because, think about it. It's like, that's a very sensitive part of your body. And we don't want to have stuff being absorbed into our bloodstream from one of our most sensitive parts of our body, which happens to be connected to our reproductive system. And so that was another thing. I was like, whoa, like, that's crazy. And so, because think about it too, like cotton's like pretty fluffy, it's white cotton, but cotton's actually, because that's what a lot of like tampons and pads are made of. But cotton is one of the world's dirtiest crops, and it's often sprayed with a variety of pesticides. And then the cotton is usually bleached with chlorine or other chemicals. Glyphosate has been known to be in majority of the feminine hygiene products out there. It also, a lot of them contain rayon, which is a synthetic material. And this is where those synthetic fibers, there's evidence that they can pull too much moisture from the vaginal walls, and then it can stick to the soft skin there, which can leave tiny synthetic fibers that may increase the risk of toxic shock syndrome. So, I mean, this is where I'm like, oh, wow, that's a pretty big deal. So here's some options for you. Okay. So you could look for organic, okay, for tampons or pads. The brand RAEL is the brand that I have started using. I'll put that in the chat. So again, you can spread the word. Because if you've had a hysterectomy or whatever, or past post-menopause, like, you don't need them, but you can pass along that name brand. I just bought mine off Amazon. But then a big trend that a lot of people love, and I've heard, once you go that route, you will just be like, why didn't I do it soon enough? And it's using a menstrual cup, which I already shared with you. I'm not a fan of tampons. And so, like, I have not gone there yet, but I know people that just rave about menstrual cups. Popular brands are Diva or Luna, but they're a very safe for you option. And again, women love them. So I have some links that I'm going to put in the chat. And again, if you're watching the recording, you are welcome to reach out for some of these links. So the first one, and I got these links from the website Wellness Mama. It's a website that I go to often if I'm like, what about organic or good brands of pads? There's a lot of great resources there. She has a ton of podcasts, and she puts all of her resources in there and stuff. So I just put a link up for natural alternatives to hormone contraceptives. So if someone doesn't want to use birth control, some options there. Then I'm going to put a link up to her article on the problems with tampons and pads. And then there's another one that I was going to link up, a podcast where on the birth control pill, how it can screw up our hormones. So boom, there's that. Because with birth control, just like, I'm not going to dive too deep into this topic, but it's just like, it's shocking the number of birth control prescriptions that have nothing to do with, like, they're being prescribed for nothing to do with birth control. It's just like, for me, it was to help try and clear up my acne, which is just like, oh my Lanta, but there are so many things. Okay. So there's my soapbox on that. I'm going to keep moving along, and I'm going to tell you now, let's talk about LLV. Okay. LLV is foundational for so many things within our body and our wellness. So the doTERRA wellness pyramid, remember at the bottom, it is what? It's nutrition and digestion. So that's the first thing at the bottom. Focus on your nutrition and digestion. We want to eat healthy, good, yummy foods. And then we want to have a good digestive system, but then just food today's lacking. So that's where we supplement with LLV. and things like Terrazyme and PB Assist, it's important to supplement, right? I mean, food's just not the same as it was years ago. Okay. Then looking at the wellness pyramid, remember the next level up is movement and metabolism. So moving our bodies and then targeting our metabolism. And that's where MetaPower is fantastic to look at our metabolism. Then as we go through class tonight, we're going to be like, whoa, our metabolism is connected to our endocrine system, which is connected to our hormones, which is connected to our blood sugar levels and all these things. Okay. So let's talk though, first about estrogen and xenoestrogen. I finally have learned how to pronounce the word xenoestrogen. For a long time, I was like, how do I say that word? It's xenoestrogen. It's sort of fun to say it now that I know how to say it. So there are two types of estrogen, all right? Estrogen is the one that our body naturally produces. And looking at the picture, it's that pink ball. And that pink ball, the estrogen wants to get into that brown receptor site, okay? So, and then like our body sends our estrogen where it needs to go, and then it talks and communicates, and then the body does what it's supposed to do, like in the perfect scenario, okay? So that estrogen binds to our receptors and then just, sends messages throughout our body. But then the other type of estrogen is called xenoestrogen. And that is a foreign estrogen. It either comes from synthetics or chemicals that we come in contact with. And there also are some natural forms of xenoestrogens too. But think of xenoestrogen, they're the bad guy, they're the bully, and it's a really loud voice in our body. And it clogs up our cell receptor sites, and it gives unintended signals around our body so that our good estrogen can't get into that cell receptor site, okay? And so it clogs up the cell receptor sites, and it makes it so that we have an estrogen dominance, even though technically you don't really have an estrogen dominance, you have a xenoestrogen dominance. Does that make sense? And I always like to give credit, like it finally clicked on what xenoestrogen was when I listened to my friend Leah teach about it. And so that's the picture of her in the top right hand corner. So shout out to Leah. I'm so thankful I was able to listen to her teach, and I finally got it. So xenoestrogens can be found in a lot of things, you guys: canned food, farmed fish, tap water, plastics. I mean, again, thinking about, we were just talking about tampons and pads and like, okay, so this is where we just like looking at the brands of tampon and pads again. Like, there we go. Talk about it again. But factory farmed animals, there's soy in food, household cleaners, pollution, fragrance, pesticides, medications, beauty products, personal care products. Like they're found in a lot of different things, and xenoestrogens really contribute in extreme ways after you've had a lot of exposure to them too, and it could result in different types of cancers. It could result in endometriosis. It could result in infertility. I mean, and think about it. How could your body get the proper signals from hormones when xenoestrogens are clogging up those cell receptor sites? But the good news, like a big way that we can limit our exposure to xenoestrogens is simply by cleaning up our products. And this is where we're like, oh, okay, I got this. doTERRA, we swap, okay? We all wash our hair. So buy doTERRA shampoo and conditioner. You could try the new shampoo bars, which are really fun. I mean, they're super clean, good for our environment, all the things. Like, we have different shampoo and conditioner options. We have skincare lines that are clean, and they're like luxury products that we don't have to worry about putting synthetic toxic stuff on our skin. And we have the whole On Guard line. So again, swaps. We, wash our hands. So use On Guard hand wash. You brush your teeth. So use On Guard toothpaste. And then you don't have to worry about that. There's the whole spa line that, the face mask and the body scrub and like the beautiful mist. Then there's the new abode line. Like there's a ton of stuff that we can swap out really easy. Like, okay, I do laundry. I'm going to buy the laundry pods, and I know that I don't need to worry about toxic stuff now going in my laundry. Like, these are just, again, easy swaps. Plus then you get your points back if you order through LRP, and it's a beautiful picture, right? Okay. So phytoestrogen, this is like the what do you call it? Like the home run of the night of this class. Like, if anything, if you haven't tried phytoestrogen, try it. I love phytoestrogen. It's one of the things that I attribute to like my skin finally cleared up. Like Accutane didn't do it. I mean, it cleared it up for a little bit, but it's just like, and it wreaked havoc on my body and all the things. But phytoestrogen, LLV, Clary Calm, because my hormones were affecting my skin, like that cleared it up. So if you think about one thing with phytoestrogen, just think of it, it's the xenoestrogen cleanup product. So it eats up those naughty xenoestrogens that are in the cell receptor sites, clogging up the cell receptor site. And it acts like a bodyguard, and it helps clear that path so those good little sweet pink estrogens can get into your receptor site and send out the proper signals. Okay. So phytoestrogen helps to balance our hormones and to balance not only a deficiency, but any excess of those xenoestrogens. Okay. But it can help minimize unwanted symptoms associated with menstrual cycles. If you read on the label and you're like, oh my goodness, it says soy on it. And like, I've been taught not to have soy. Soy's bad. So here's the thing. There's different kinds of soy out there. So it has something called genistein, which is a fermented soy extract that promotes healthy breast tissue and helps bring balances to hormones in women and men. So men can take this product. But basically there's no soy in it. It's just fermented soy is a positive thing. And there's a big difference between fermented soy and the soy that you're not supposed to use. Okay. But just because of the title of soy, people sometimes get freaked out. So don't get freaked out. It's fine. Okay. So, and also this is where you guys, research shows that phytoestrogen, they don't lower estrogen levels, but it just helps balance them out and get your body humming and operating at the proper level. So it's like, if you need more, it helps bring it up. If you need less, it brings it down. And it just also, it can help with the effects of estrogen that's produced by the body and support health as estrogen declines post-menopause too. So this is something that people can take post-menopause. Okay. And phytoestrogen is really a key if you have a long-term chronic issue and just like your body can't get something together. It could be those harmful estrogen metabolites, the xenoestrogens. Okay. And it pairs amazingly with bone nutrient, which is a powerhouse duo, which we'll talk in a second about bone nutrient. But when you take phytoestrogen by itself, it helps balance out like about 3 to 4 of the hormones in our body. But if you pair it and take it with bone nutrient, it helps balance all your hormones. So, and bone nutrient is not like, it's not an expensive add-on. Like supplement wise, it's one of the least expensive supplements. So get the phytoestrogen with the bone nutrient. Yes, Tammy, have your granddaughter take phytoestrogen because it probably, I mean, skin issues aren't always hormonal, but I feel like a lot of them are hormonal. So this could be huge for her. Oh my goodness. Yep. This could be huge. And I think I have a testimony of a girl, or it might be in the skincare class. Remind me if I don't, there's of a teenager girl, the LLV was her story. If it doesn't show up, remind me, I can show you at the end. So I'm just going to read some of these testimonies to you. So Michaela shared, she said, for me, I was told I could never have kids. My cycles were all out of whack, lots of cramps, dark, heavy periods, clots, etc. They wanted to give me birth control for it, but couldn't because of my migraines with auras monthly. After I started LLV, my migraines went away. When I started phytoestrogen, my cycles regulated and I got pregnant with Everett. After we lost him, I jumped right back into my supplements. And 6 months later, we tried for Everly and got her our first time trying. I think without getting rid of hormone disrupting products, LLV and phytoestrogen, I don't think we would have had either of our kiddos. That doesn't make me tear up, Michaela. And then she said, also phytoestrogen helps my mother-in-law's hot flashes. She sold multiple bottles to friends and have helped with the same thing. Claricalm has worked wonders for my mood during Shark Week, as well as our friends' teenage girls. I'm not going to lie, it worked on Jake, her husband, too, when he was extremely crabby. That's all I had on me, which just makes me giggle. I don't know, Michaela, if you wanted to add anything else to that testimony, you're welcome to type it, or if you want to unmute yourself, you totally can. But that testimony just like, it just gets me. So thank you for sharing, Michaela. This gal, Michelle, shared, phytoestrogen has changed my life. I've had endometriosis and ovarian cysts since my teenage years. I missed at least 1 day of work every month and sometimes 2 due to being completely debilitated with cramps and pain to the point of not even being able to walk. I had extremely heavy, dark, and clotty flow, clots as large as a grapefruit at times. I can't even wrap my head around that. Pregnancy was the only months of my life that I was free from this nightmare until phytoestrogen. Doctors wanted to do a hysterectomy or ablation, but I never had peace about it. Started phytoestrogen about 3 years ago, just a few months after being on it. LLV and Claricalm. She had 0 cramping, normal flow, no indication that she was even starting it. She said prior to phyto, I could feel it coming on about a week in advance. Mild cramping and pain would begin, and then PMS. She said I now take 1 phyto a day, and she uses Claricalm for support during her period, but for about a year she'd used it morning and night. Like, oh my goodness, such a powerful testimony, right? Sharon says, so oftentimes people confuse. We already talked about the soy thing in general. We already addressed that. But then later she says, as a breast cancer survivor, this product supported my body in a way no other man-made product could or would. The report that I was given pre-double mastectomy in 2014 showed 13% positive receptors for estrogen and progesterone by doubling up on these products, clean diet, and low sugar. My report after that mastectomy 6 months later showed 0%. I was never turned over to an oncologist and given a clean bill of health. This gal says, Charlene said, this product is a must for my 56-year-old self. I started taking 1 a.m. and p.m. a few years ago after Dr. Hill's talk. Dr. Hill used to be the chief medical advisor at doTERRA. It was a game changer. She said, my hot flashes disappeared within 7 days on it. And if I miss even 1 dose, my hot flashes return with a vengeance. She said, I'm typically the hot mess express, but with Fido on board, I'm simply just a regular mess. That just made me giggle. Lindsay shared, it's a miracle product, several testimonies from women on her team who have used it to manage PMS, transition through menopause, and her absolute favorite. She said, this is majorly non-compliant, but she said one of her friends had ovarian cysts. We started her on LLV, phytoestrogen, and clariacum on her lower abdomen, and her body expelled the cysts. Test came back normal. Cysts are gone. Like, whoa. Another gal shared that it's what helped with her rosacea. Another gal shared it was helping with her mom's hot flashes. Like she said, clariacum was powerful, but then it was like phytoestrogen made it so they just never even came. Sophia shared that it was amazing for her cystic acne. And this is where she said her doctor had her on birth control pills continuously for 3 years, which mine, remember, she's like, oh, have a period, every 3 months or so. Like, it was just like, oh, my Lanta, which, I mean, it was convenient. Like, I could have control over it. But I mean, I just thought it was a convenience thing. I had no idea that it wasn't what was good for my body. But then Sophia, her skin cleared up. So this is a picture of my skin. And one of these days when my mom and I get a chance to dig through all of our old pictures that are on like CDs, or even like on film, I know I have other pictures where my skin was worse, but this was in 2013 or 14, shortly after Luke was born. And my skin was still like, I hadn't, fully immersed in the doTERRA lifestyle. But that's where LLV, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the lighting is sort of, but guys, my skin, I mean, I just am finishing my period and I had like a little zit, like, but it's not cystic acne at all, like night and day difference with my skin. And now MetaPower, the like texture and the hue and like the glow of my skin is changing. And as I'm on it longer, I'm just curious to see my wrinkles and other things, but it's been amazing. Deanna said that after her pregnancy, when her cycles returned, she was miserable. All the things before that she had done, like eating clean, frankincense, LLV, they weren't quite cutting it. But then she said 3 weeks in with phytoestrogen and she was 80% better. And then after another full cycle, she was at 100% and 18 pounds lighter with no other lifestyle changes. Stephanie Noble said that someone shared with her that it improved her sex life. She said that could get men to buy it for the women. And then another gal shared that her 74-year-old dad takes it daily. Stopped his night sweats. So phytoestrogen, you guys, there were a lot of testimonies I shared there, but I think it's worth it because like you can see it's like different, like we don't all have the same symptoms. Just like at the beginning, we were looking at the different symptoms of, hormone imbalance. And so it can help address a lot of those different issues. Okay. So now bone nutrient, just as a reminder, I said, if you take bone nutrient with phytoestrogen, it's going to help balance all of your hormones. And this is where bone nutrient, it says doTERRA women on it. Men can take it. Men can take it. Okay. Ryan takes it. When Luke's going through a growth spurt, I 100% plan on having Luke take it because it's great for, yes, weak and fragile or fractured bones, also for growing little humans as well. This is the biggest doTERRA supplement though. Luke is way better taking pills than I am, so I'm not worried about him taking it. But on the bottle, it says, I believe, take 4 throughout the day. But if you are taking full dose of LLV, you could just do, yes, Michaela, it'd be so good for Jake to use for his femur. It'd be so good. But if you're doing full dose of LLV, you can do 2 of the bone nutrient, just so you know. And Stephanie Fritz is who shared that tip. This is my friend, Kristen. She shared, you can see on the left her before and after. If you look close in on her teeth, you can see like her front teeth are starting to look a little transparent, depending on how big your screen is. And like she'd been doing all the things like to try and, I mean, it already was on LLV and all this stuff, but then she started doing bone nutrient, and 1 bottle of bone nutrient, you can see her before and after, like it totally helped remineralize her teeth. Next, I have a video that I want to show you. This is Ryan's grandma sharing her bone nutrient testimony. So, and her name is Beppa, and I hope the sound is okay. If you can't hear it, let me know.
Hey everybody, this is my Beppa, she's my grandma, and what's your name?
Thelma.
Thelma. And so tell us how you felt before you started using the bone nutrient complex.
How I felt was I had a lot of pain. Couldn't move my fingers too good and make a fist. Since I started, it took maybe a month or so before I felt I was getting better.
And
now I have them every month. But once in a while I don't get them on time.
And so how soon, when you stop taking them, do you feel that you hurt?
Almost, well, I start slowly, about maybe 3-4 days that I miss them.
So 3 or 4 days later, then like you're really hurting again.
Yeah, if I don't take them.
If you don't take them.
Yeah.
So, and you take 4 pills a day.
Yep. And I spread it between 2-3 hours. Every 2-3 hours I take one. So before I gone, and then start the next day.
And so taking your bone nutrient, it helps you do your knitting.
Yeah.
And crocheting, and it brings you a lot of joy.
Yeah, it got rid of a lot of pain.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
And I can move my fingers more. Oh, you're done. Thank you.
Okay.
So that's Beppa, and I mean, we watched her. I mean, her day is filled with knitting and crocheting, and then like she suddenly wasn't able to do that anymore, and then she started and she would have to like use her hand, like one hand to like toss if we were playing games and stuff, and like she's had like bone nutrient's been huge for her. Another great oil that is awesome for our hormones is rose, and rose is when you can get it now undiluted in a 5 ml, or you can get it in the touch form. I love rose. And rose, yes, it's one of the spend your oils. Use your points for it. But I always want to tell people, if you have rose, use your rose. Don't hold off because it's an expensive oil. I mean, maybe don't diffuse it every day, but use your rose because you're going to benefit from it. Okay. It's a great oil to use for emotional balance, helps boost libido. It helps promote openness and confidence, but then you can also put it on your lower abdomen for relief when you're having your period. It helps promote regular ovulation. Okay. So rose is a great one to test out. Then another one is clary sage or clary comb. It has clary sage in it. This is a hero product. I mean, so many people just through using clary comb, it helps regulate hormones. It helps with mood. It helps with just all of those like PMS type symptoms that we experience. My recommendation is if you're working on balancing out your hormones, try and use it 1 to 2 times a day. Over your abdomen. If you're not fond of the smell, rub it on the inside of your ankles because that's the spot for reflexology. But then as you regulate your hormones, you might find that you can back off from using it and you only need to use it during your period. Okay. I like to dilute this oil because this one isn't a touch roller. So I'll split it between like 2 or 3 rollers and just stretches it out, and I have more sensitive skin. And so it works out great. And I still get amazing benefits from it. This is an oil blend that is safe to use during pregnancy, because one of the oils that it's recommended that someone doesn't use during pregnancy is clary sage, which clary sage is in this, but it's diluted. And I mean, it's not just clary sage. So it's safe to use during pregnancy. Like one of my friends got, headaches during her pregnancy. And so clary sage is one that she used. Okay. So, and then also really quick though, clary comb, just as a reminder, it has bergamot in it, which is a citrus oil. So if you're putting it on your skin somewhere where the sun sees it on a sunny day, you like your skin might be more sensitive there. Okay. I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying it could. But if you put it on your abdomen, chances are you're probably like, it's covered up unless you're, hanging out by the pool. Okay. So let's look at our endocrine system. So our endocrine system is directly involved in the growth and development, in our growth and development, and our metabolism, helps with regulate nutrients and just overall homeostasis in our body, which homeostasis means maintaining internal stability and balance within our body. So it's just like that place of balance and healthy functioning within our body. We want to be in homeostasis. So our endocrine system it's a system of glands that produce and send hormones to just different organs and tissues through the circulatory system. Our endocrine system and our hormones support our bodies from conception all the way through old age. And so from conception, well, and this is cool too. Did you know that there are, well, we have 10, but there are 11 when someone is pregnant, glands that make up the endocrine system. So you have another one when someone is pregnant. But from conception, the placenta acts as also an endocrine organ within the woman's body and produces several important hormones throughout pregnancy. So this is where essential oils can be really beneficial because they're circulated throughout our body in the same way, and they can profoundly benefit our cells as this process happens. Okay. So we're going to look at some different spots of our endocrine system. So the first one is our pancreas. Okay. So MetaPower, you guys, MetaPower. So think about the MetaPower soft gels. That's the MetaPower oil in pill form. If you wanted to make your own, it's 2 drops of the MetaPower oil. But use the soft gels, the whole line daily. Okay. But use them to support your metabolism, to regulate your blood sugar, and to help release excess water within our body. Okay. I feel like a broken record. I'm like, everybody needs MetaPower. You need MetaPower. Like, we need MetaPower. If anyone watched the TV show Parks and Rec, I'm like, everybody in the town of Pawnee, they talk about how like they just ate so much sugar, like they could all use MetaPower. Okay, then some stuff to use for your adrenals. Okay, so our adrenal glands, they produce hormones that help regulate our metabolism. Okay, MetaPower, our immune system, our blood pressure, our response to stress, and other essential functions within our body. So a way that you could tell if your adrenals are functioning properly is if when you wake up in the morning, if you're like, I'm ready, let's go, I'm awake, then your adrenals are they're in good shape. I know that I don't wake up that way. I'm getting better. I mean, I'm trying, but most of us probably need a little extra adrenal support, right? So our adrenals pump cortisol in the morning, and just tell our body to wake up. And then that's where our cortisol is our daytime hormone. And then melatonin is our night hormone. But when we have something like adrenal fatigue, our body continues to tell our adrenals to make cortisol late until the evening. And then we have a burst of energy in the evening instead of that cortisol that we need at night. And it just is this vicious cycle that you just get off track. Okay. And our adrenals, they're wonderful, but they need help, and we need to learn how to shut them off so that they can take a break and so that we can sleep. Okay. So a great oil for our adrenals is magnolia. And isn't that a fun answer for me to tell you? Because magnolia is amazing. It smells so good. It's just a wonderful oil. You can just think of it as perfume, but really it's helping your adrenals. Rather than if I were like, spikenard, you need to use spikenard, because that's like such a stinky oil. But magnolia is a great one. Okay. So magnolia is the highest essential oil in linalool. It's that linalool is the calming component that's in lavender. It's classic, soothing, calming. Magnolia has 3 times the amount of linalool that lavender does. So what does that mean? Magnolia would be great for sleep too. Okay, we had one of our Ohana Tribe people last week was sharing that magnolia, that's her magic sleep oil. So if you haven't tried magnolia for sleep, try it. So your adrenals are located like back here, like, oh, you can't see, but just like if you make a fist and then you put it on your back, like in that area is sort of where your adrenals are at. So get some magnolia back there. So like above your kidneys, it's bottom of your rib cage. If you want a little extra adrenal love, you could add in some other oils like cedarwood, vetiver, sandalwood that help with sleep. Mito 2 Max. Mito 2 Max is a great supplement to use to help with your adrenal health. It has mushrooms in it, not like the crazy kind that give you a high, but it's mushrooms that are adaptogens. It's a great coffee replacement, so you can use it in the morning for a natural energy, or in the afternoon, or road trips. We love keeping Mito 2 Max in our car, but it's really good for focus and concentration. My friend shared that when her adrenals were just shot, she was actually taking Mito 2 Max at night to help her sleep, when really Mito 2 Max, like, it was just her system was so out of whack. Basil is another great one to use for our adrenal support. And I love, we just do a basil shot, we'll put a drop on our hand and lick it off, and it just tastes, it doesn't taste good, but you get used to it, and then we get hooked with it. And that basil's an oil that we keep in our car too, so we can do basil shots. Okay, I have some stats on melatonin, but I'm looking at the time, so I'm just going to keep going. But just moral of the story, don't do melatonin, okay? Because you can't trust us on the label. And this is where we use our doTERRA products and all the things and get natural sunlight to help with that, but don't take melatonin supplements. And if you're not sure why, then I can get you the stats if you need them, or stay on at the end, okay? If you want to care for your thyroid, which that I feel like more and more people, I'm just hearing about thyroid issues popping up. But this is like it says on the slide, it's not a life sentence. But habits are really important to care for your thyroid, you know, looking at your nutrition level, your stress level, your water supply. But this is a great blend to use to support your thyroid. And this says 10 drops of each. So that'd be 40 drops total. And this is where, you know, my general rule of thumb is like usually 20 to 30 drops. So you could do less than 10 drops. And then roll that over your thyroid. It's located low on the front of your neck, sort of like below, like for us women, where Adam's apple would be, like in this area. But think about this. I love this example that someone had shared with me, where it's like you're getting ready for the day, you know, you do all your things you're going to do. It's the last thing you do after you're all ready and you're about ready to walk out of your bedroom. What do? You spray on perfume. Where do you spray it? Right over your thyroid. And so many, I mean, like the perfumes out there, they're toxic and they're chemical and they're synthetic, and we're not doing our thyroid any good. And so that's where use our oils, make a fun perfume. You can get some really fun spray bottles. Like look at one of my sites that I really like for like gifting and stuff, which we have a holiday make and take coming up next month, just by the way. You know, like look at this fun bottle. I mean, it's like leopard print. There are some other ones that we have, just, you know, usually I just get some pretty standard brown or like the cobalt blue if I'm feeling a little wild and free. But like these are just fun, like for gifts and for holidays, but just some really cool, like this is a serum one, but like this site is called Whimsy and Wellness. And it's a fun site to get just like some fun bottle for some like perfume. You want it to be, you know, fun. And then find your oil combo that you really like. And then rather than using fractionated coconut oil or water, I like using vodka because it'll flash off of you and you don't like get your clothes wet and stuff. But holidays are coming. Making some fun perfumes for people will be such a fun gift, such a fun gift. Okay. Care for your liver. So Zendocrine is a great product to be using. So we have the Zendocrine essential oil. We have the Zendocrine soft gels, which the Zendocrine soft gels that you see pictured here is the oil in pill form. Okay. But then there's also the Zendocrine detoxification complex, which that's not on the screen. But this oil blend that you see on the screen, it helps our body do what it's supposed to do. It helps open all the liver ducts so our liver can process stuff with grace and ease. And then the herbal, the detoxification complex, helps to feed and nourish our organs. So that's something that the detoxification complex, you can use that one daily. And then the soft gels are something that Stephanie Fritz recommended doing it like 1 week each month. Zendocrine is really awesome for skin stuff too. So the detoxification complex, and if you pair with the soft gel, like if you have a skin issue pop up, because that's our largest organ, and if something's happening, like if we have something erupt on our body, not because, you know, we tripped and fell, you know, like I think like my Evelyn has like the scrape on her face, but I mean, she fell, like that's why her skin is doing it, because she hit it on a pallet, you know. But if you have something erupt on your skin because you didn't fall or whatever, it's probably because something's going on inside. It's your body's trying to communicate with you. So Zendocrine is a magic thing to use with skin stuff. So is Terrazyme. I love it. But MetaPower is a great oil to use to care for your liver too, because it's good for our pancreas, our blood sugar levels, our hormone, our liver. But then just citrus oils in general, but lemon's just fantastic because it helps our liver on so many different levels. Helps our liver go in stage 2 digestion. It's just, it seems almost like it's so easy, like, but just drink lemon in your water. It's going to do awesome things for your body. Okay. This is a slide that I just like to put in because I'd mentioned making your own pill, which you can't always make your own pill with veggie caps and oil, because it's like Serenity, for example, like Serenity soft gels are not Serenity oil in pill form. it's different. They're in the category of rest and relaxation and calming. So that's why they have the label. But if you see them on the screen here, then you can replicate them. Okay. And then it shows the number of drops. So, you know, if you run out of Tri-Ease or something like this time of year, I mean, where we live, we use Tri-Ease daily. But if we run out, we'll just do 2 drops each of lemon, lavender, peppermint. So there you go. Also, just so you guys know, I updated this with the MetaPower soft gels. A MetaPower beadlet has about 1/4 drop of oil, just like the peppermint and the On Guard beadlets. And then MetaPower gum has about 1 drop of MetaPower per chunk of gum. So this is an example of just like a wellness plan that's focused on healing your hormones, doing your LLV, phytoestrogen, bone nutrient, Mito2 Max, if you need that adrenal support. You could do some Yarrow Palm. We didn't talk a ton about Yarrow Palm, but Yarrow Palm's awesome. But again, I'm just going to keep moving on. But Yarrow Palm is fantastic for so many. I mean, it's like my magic. I love it for my skin. Taking your Terrazyme. And then there's a Superwoman blend that we're going to talk about here, right here, that comes out of this book that has clary sage, lavender, geranium, ylang ylang, and cedar wood. And then if you have jasmine and rose, you could add in some of that. It's a great one to use. And like when you, in this book, the essential oils hormone solution, she has so many, like she has recipes in here. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff, but then this is a great resource to get. So, excuse me. This is an example LRP. The women's health kit, which guys, I didn't check today, but I think it's still unavailable. I'm super sorry. I don't want to make you like yearn and be like, oh, I can't buy it now, Jessie. Thanks a lot. If it is unavailable, it's coming back. Don't worry. But anytime doTERRA bundle stuff, remember you get a deeper discount. And then remember, whenever you do 125 by the 15th of the month, you get the product of the month. So like this month, we got Balance for free, which is really fun. And then doTERRA, you know, this month they have, if you do 180 PV order, you get the free adaptive capsules. 10% off this month is pink pepper. The digestive kit, like I just want to like, again, throw out a reminder about the wellness kits. I mean, they're fantastic and amazing. There's different themed wellness kits. And because let's say someone just really needs to work on their digestion. So this is going to give you a lot of different products in that theme of digestion. But because all of our bodies are different. So maybe spearmint's going to work really well for me with digestion, but someone else, they really like digestin. Someone else, they find that ginger works really well, or someone else, it's fennel is their magic oil. So you have the opportunity over the course of 3 months to get a lot of different products to try. And then it's one of those things where it's not like at the end of those 3 months, you're like, well, spearmint's my oil, but now I have all these other oils. What do I do with them? It's like, those other oils you can do other things with, because that's where we always talk about side benefits. And so pull out your resource book and be like, all right, I've got fennel now. What else can I use it for? And then you can look up some other things. Okay. October promotions. I just sort of talked about all this stuff, but again, get your MetaPower kit. Whether you get it through the MetaPower kit or the post-convention kit. And then if you want to get added to the 30-day texting campaign, I have my phone number is going to come up here in just a second. Next week, continuing education is all about oils for pain management. And I'm going to put in the chat, for those of you who are on live, it's the attendance form, fill out so you can get credit. Because remember, once you attend all 8 of the continuing ed classes, you earn a free diffuser. And then if you're watching the recording, go back to that email that I sent you the recording in and click on the link there. Excuse me. Oh, let's see here. I'm going to put a link in the chat too. I think all of you guys that are on live are in the MetaPower group already, but I'm going to put it there just in case. So QR codes here. If you don't receive my weekly texting tip, but you would like to, every Wednesday I send out some sort of doTERRA related tip. Just scan that, or you can text the word Jessie Tips to my business number, which is there on the screen. And then also, if you want me to get you some MetaPower education, just text the word MetaPower to my business number, and then I'll get some education to you. It's really fun. I have some education through there that is just really fun. I so thank you guys for joining. Thank you, those of you that are on live. Thank you for those of you watching the recording. If questions popped up, I mean, I might have like hopefully I didn't like stir things up to where I ruffled feathers in a bad way, but maybe I just got you thinking about some things, or you know, that maybe you hadn't thought about before. And just like I said at the beginning, when we know better, we can do better. And then just to remind you, like, you don't, not everything has to change overnight, you know, just like get some habits going and then keep layering and do that habit stacking, you know. But if you've been using oils for a long time, this is where it's time, you know, stacking some other stuff. Okay. If you're on live, I'm going to stay on for Q&A if you have questions, but for the recording purposes, I'm going to stop recording. But of course, reach out if you have some questions.